On this episode, we don't believe the hype. Hey everybody, and welcome to Finish Friday, the show that helps more creative people change more lives. I'm your host, Todd B from Tennessee, and I created this show because on a scale of 1 to getting all the little details lined up for the book launch, creating stuff is hard, and finishing those things is even harder. First off, I have to give a little shout out to my man Atul, who created this mock-up, a calligraphy mock-up for the title of the book. This is amazing. Atul, thank you so much. This is not the official cover. I'll definitely have to share that with you guys soon. But the title is The Unstoppable Creative. It launches November 9th, and I cannot wait to get this into you guys' hands. I know you're gonna love the book. The thing is, my talent, like the thing that I love to do is write the book. And so like 6 months ago, I really wanted this thing to be done, but I had to take more time with it and get it really where it needed to be so that it could be the best book I could possibly write and not just another chance to sell something to you. So this book is going to be good. It's got hundreds of hours of time and effort into it, and I cannot wait for you to read it. But until then, let's get into today's topic. Unless you live under a rock or, like do things with your time other than go on the internet, you know about this guy, Peter McKinnon, who's enjoyed a recent rise in fame. And what I want to pick at a little bit today is that everybody is talking about how he rose to fame and how he did it. And the big headline that you're going to see if you're on YouTube for a little while is Peter McKinnon got 1 million subscribers in less than a year. But let's take a minute and look at what's really going on there, because that's a great headline. It does sound good whenever people do something like that and we look at those things and we're like, oh man, it's so easy. I can do that myself. But what we don't want to forget in this scenario is the fact that Peter spent 30 years of his life trying to build who he has become. He had to figure out what he likes. He had to figure out what he didn't like. He had to figure out that he was going to be fun. He had to build his personality, which is so much a part of his channel. Never mind all of the technical skills that he's had to figure out along the way, right? Filming, editing, lighting, putting together a scene, scripting, all that. And then the little tiny stuff that we don't think about from day to day, like title tags in your YouTube video and keywords and thumbnails and all of these things. You guys, what we can't forget is that even though Peter has exploded in the last year, it took him 30 years before that to build the bomb. And so now, like, I don't want you guys to forget that if you're not where you want to be yet creatively and getting the kind of attention you think you should get, it might be because you're still building. And so this week, I want to encourage you, stay the course, focus on what you can focus on, which is being the best artist that you can be, and then the results will come. I feel like most of my questions of the week come from Twitter. Like the conversations will start on there, and then once I get to the point where I want to use more than 140 characters, I'll have to break it off. And yes, I know you can use more than 140 characters. Please don't punish me in the comments for that. But here's how this particular question of the week went down. I was tweeting out encouragement to everyone who is chasing a dream, even though it was the weekend, and Matthew replied and said he wasn't sure he had a dream. And then I asked if he had interest, because typically dreams start with those kinds of things. And he messaged back and he told me he does in fact have a few things he likes. And here's the question I want to get into. He doesn't really know how to make his interests into a dream. All right, so now that I've got a little more freedom and I'm off Twitter, I want to say, Matthew, like the deal is, I think dreams are very important. I think if I don't feel like I'm chasing something on some level, I feel like a piece of me is missing. But the thing about dreams and passions in general is you don't find them, you build them, and they come from that interest. And so you listed a whole bunch of things here. What I typically talk about is taking 30 days to explore one of those interests every single day as much as you can. Because the reality is, you're probably good at a lot of things that won't be your career. Like, you won't do all of those things. And it's hard to imagine a career that combines all of your interests, even though that might happen one day. But I see your picture, right? Like, I know you're young and you're trying to find what might be your thing. And so what I would do is just explore one of those interests for 30 days as deeply as you can. And I think that's how dreams are built, right? Like, you might feel like there's something going on with you because you don't have like this burning passion, but I promise you, none of us start out that way. Like, nobody who's after something now or who is wildly passionate started out that way. It starts with your interests and exploring that as a person and figuring out why you like that thing and what you might like to do next for it. But the critical thing here is you have to explore those interests. Because if you're kind of lackadaisical about them and you allow them to sit in the sidelines, you might end up in a career which you're not thrilled with, or find some point in life where you don't want to be. And so I'm going to encourage you, chase those interests for 30 days. I can't tell you where they're going to lead, but you're going to figure it out on your own. This week's artist spotlight goes on a fairly popular filmmaker who you may have heard of, and his name is Martin Scorsese. And Martin has obviously done a ton in the film world, but I don't want to bring up an example of his film or talk about anything that he specifically does in his work. What I want to talk about is something he said in the commercial of his masterclass, which I've been seeing going around on YouTube lately. And I love this quote, and it's applicable to all of us. He says, "If you don't get physically ill seeing your first rough cut, something's wrong. You always think you're not going to get physically ill, but you do." And I'm so grateful for Martin's transparency, because it's just a reminder to the rest of us who are still climbing that there's always going to be a point in the art where you just hate it and you absolutely want to stay away. And so, like, I want to pass that encouragement on to you, right? Like, what you're working on right now might just be a draft. It can always be reversioned and retweaked. You can poke it and pinch it and get it where it needs to be, because frankly, that's what art is. It's not a formula. You get what you think you need to get it to, and then you tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it until you get it all the way there. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 40, big milestone here. I thank you for sticking around. I want to take a second to give a specific shout out to Tessie and to Funky Monkey. You guys are in the comments all the time. Thank you so much for continuing to support the show. It means the world to me. Trust me, I'm just getting started. So I hope that you guys all stick around to watch this grow. This week's Ask the Audience. Every week I ask you a question to get to know you a little better, and you answer in the comments. What I want to know is, what is your favorite Martin Scorsese film? That's what I want to know. And if you haven't seen any, that's fine to put that in the comments. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think is the best one down there. Thank you again for watching the show. Again, I'm Todd B from Tennessee. Don't forget to thumbs up the show if you liked it, and I will talk with you next week.